Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Let's be real for a second. If you've ever felt like managing data center power is just this chaotic chore, where you're juggling a bunch of different vendors, tracking down rogue servers, and constantly sweating over potential overloads, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're diving into Supermicro's SuperCloud Composer, specifically looking at Release 3.13.0. Think of this as your definitive guide to taking all that chaos and turning it into a streamlined, crystal-clear command center. We're going to take what is normally a massive headache and break it down into simple, actionable steps.
All right, so here is our macro to micro game plan for today. 1. Welcome to power infrastructure. 2. Navigating the PDU console. 3. Managing your physical assets. 4. Outlet-level power control. And 5. Mastering analytics and sensors. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Welcome to Power Infrastructure. Let's get our bearings and figure out where our tools actually live.
Jumping straight into the SuperCloud Composer UI, if you glance over at the left-hand navigation menu, right under Topology and just above the cooling infrastructure, bam, you'll find the Power Infrastructure Info Center. Clicking on that reveals your submodules, and the one we really care about today is the PDU console. This right here is your main gateway. It's clean, it's super intuitive, and it puts data center power management right at your fingertips. No digging through endless nested menus required.
Moving on to Section 2, Navigating the PDU console. Let's demystify this interface.
When you are managing critical infrastructure, you literally do not have time to second-guess what a button does, right? Thankfully, these icons cleanly translate the software's visual language, so you can just navigate by instinct. The link icon, that instantly shoots you over to the native PDU website in a new tab. The document icon pulls up your full PDU detail view. Need real-time data? Hit that refresh icon. The eye icon controls all your display options, and, of course, the magnifying glass is your best friend for searching. Once you've got these 5 icons down, you essentially have the keys to the kingdom.
Now you might be wondering, what kind of hardware are we actually managing with those buttons? Well, the hardware flexibility here is honestly fantastic. SuperCloud Composer doesn't lock you into just one tier. It supports the whole spectrum, from your simple basic PDUs that just push power, to metered units showing you current and voltage, switched units for remote control, all the way up to fully intelligent, networked data logging PDUs. Plus, it plays incredibly nicely with top-tier vendors. We're talking Raritan, Schneider Electric, and ServerTech. You can literally take your completely mixed hardware environment and consolidate the whole shebang into a single pane of glass.
Okay, so when you're digging through all that hardware, it's good to know that SCC uses an AND condition for its filter logic. Look, when you've got thousands of PDUs spread across multiple data centers, you need absolute precision. This means if you type in a specific location and a specific manufacturer, the system filters out all the noise and only shows you units that match both criteria. It sounds like a tiny detail on paper, but in practice, it's exactly what helps you pinpoint a problematic unit in seconds instead of minutes.
And to build on that search logic, here is your rapid-fire toolkit of exactly what fields you can search against. You can hunt down a PDU by its physical location, its IP address, the group name it belongs to, the manufacturer, the product SKU, the serial number, or even whether it's in cascading mode. By layering these search fields together, you can turn this overwhelmingly massive hardware list into a laser-focused, totally manageable command center.
Section 3. Managing your physical assets. Time to zoom in on the actual day-to-day workflow for your PODs, groups, and racks.
Let's say we are looking at a specific grouping, like the QA rack. What you get is this fantastic high-level physical asset inventory. Without even clicking into anything, you get the immediate lay of the land, the PDU location, its IP address, the group it's in, who manufactured it, plus the SKU and serial number. If you're running an audit or honestly just trying to get a quick pulse on what hardware lives in a specific rack, this list gives you total visibility instantly.
But here is where things get really cool, contrasting the macro with the micro. On the macro view, at the rack or PDU level, you're looking at broad infrastructure health, firmware versions, total number of outlets, number of lines, and your overcurrent protectors. But SCC lets you drill all the way down to the micro view, right to the individual outlet level. Down there, you're seeing the current state, the total energy used in kilowatt hours, the specific power load in watts, and the current in amps. It's kind of like the difference between knowing a whole city has electricity versus knowing exactly how much power one specific server in one specific rack is drawing.
Section 4. Outlet-level power control. This is where we shift from just monitoring to taking action.
Quick side note, if you're daisy-chaining PDUs together to save on IP addresses, this interface handles that complexity beautifully. It cleanly maps out those master and slave roles, expanding the cascading chain right there in the UI. You get total visibility of the network traffic flow at a glance. No guesswork required, which is a huge relief.
So how do we actually flip the switch and control the power? It's this super slick 4-step workflow. First, navigate to your outlet list. Second, just check the boxes next to your target outlets. And yeah, you can totally grab multiple outlets at once. Third, click the power management icon. And fourth, simply choose on, off, or reboot. Literally 4 clicks. That's all it takes to instantly trigger power state changes across specific servers, completely remotely, without ever leaving your chair or setting foot on the loud, freezing data center floor.
Of course, it's not just about manual control. We also need to protect the hardware automatically, right? That's where setting active power thresholds comes in. The workflow is just as simple. Head to the outlet list, select your outlets, and hit the edit icon. Then, and this is the crucial part, you decide whether to set separately for highly specific server tuning or set globally to push a universal safety net across a whole block of outlets. Hit save, and boom, you've instantly hardened your infrastructure against power spikes.
Finally, Section 5, Mastering Analytics and Sensors. Let's talk real-time telemetry.
To wrap up our technical dive, I want to point out that SCC isn't just about volts and amps. It practically acts as your environmental watchdog too. By leveraging peripheral devices attached to your intelligent PDUs, you can track absolutely crucial analytics over time. We're talking humidity, measured as a percentage, and temperature, measured in Celsius. And the best part? It ties all this data directly to the exact date and time. So, if a server mysteriously trips offline at 2 a.m., you can look back and see not just the power load, but whether the temp in that specific rack spiked right before it happened. It's a real game changer for troubleshooting.
Wow, we have covered a ton of ground today. We went from finding the PDU console to navigating physical assets, controlling individual power states, and even monitoring environmental health. You officially have the blueprint for total data center visibility. So my final question to you is this. Armed with this incredible macro to micro view, which power threshold in your own infrastructure are you going to optimize first? I highly encourage you to log into SuperCloud Composer, put this mastery to work, and take absolute control of your power infrastructure. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.